Blacker says, I'll take Tomo one tabling versus anyone all day. His edge doesn't come from mass tabling from rake back for what it's worth. That's nice, Flacco. Thank you for your support, and very not fair. What's the word I want? Yeah, probably a reasonable suggestion. So, we have ace-3 suited. We've got Mac from Potential Recreational. I think we're okay just betting. I hate to get check raised from a hand like Queen-Jack, but I prefer to bet anyway. Let's see if he wants to check raise small. When he snap calls, I guess let's check. Is some room to call rivers? So there is some Queen 10, Queen 9, 9, 10 in his range. He bets 3.95. Of course, he's got Jack X. I don't know if he check raises Jack X or not. But his value range here is Jack X and flushes, and there's still quite a lot of Queen 10, Queen 9. Or maybe King Queen or anything like that. We do unblock a lot of bluffs here, so that's a nice thing. And maybe he could be super wide too. Well, cool. I think it's pretty break even, but I think it's nice to have a showdown information as well. King 7 off, for example. That's good information to take that. Grow the channel so big that you have a better free roll than the 100k super never imagined. That would be, that is good. That is one of the options. Is if the channel gets big enough, I could just play in any game, right? Just play the 1Ks and be like, you guys are technically my rake back. So that would be nice, wouldn't it? Maybe that's how it's got to be done. I just burn all the money, but you guys just supporting this degenerate spin addict. So yeah. Check. Let's min bet maybe, just see if we get value. It's an idea. I would try it. Why not? Maybe he calls with King High. Yeah, sweet. King High. Yeah. Quick question for May. You may indeed, Claudius. You're very welcome. Let's say I'm stuck at 20 euro spins, 20 chip V. What's the best option you would suggest for me to get better? I'm going to answer that question with. I mean, okay, so let's firstly clarify. Do you mean flush spins or normal spins? And if you mean flush spins, then of course pre-flop is going to be a big fundamental to getting that stronger. How many tables are you playing? That's another question to ask. So if you're playing 8 tables, drop a table count. If you're playing a low table count, then I would say, where do you think most people, if they are looking for places to improve, it's best to start heads up. So it will likely, again, this is very generic advice, but of course, like if I worked with you, let's say we did some coaching or something, I would be like, well, let's look at your win rates in different positions and see how's your button win rate, how's your 300 big blind win rate, how's your 300 small blind win rate, and see like in which situations could you do with like improving. To give generic advice, in general, improving heads up win rates will be more preferable. That's a big sizing. Will be more preferable to, if you can only improve 1, it's better to do that. Should we try limping this? I like limping this. And so that will be a thing. I knew he was going to jam. Easy. So that would be something certainly to think about your heads up. Think about your heads up small blind. It's going to be about making sure you min raise enough hands. A lot of people auto limp too many combinations. Heads up big blind also, make sure you're ISO bluffing enough. A lot of people just don't have bluffs, and that's something that's really can add a lot of profit to your game, adding bluffs. C-betting effectively, so don't over C-bet in ISO spots, don't over C-bet in raise pots. Taking lots of delays, again, this is very generic advice, but on average, people C-bet too much, they don't raise enough pre-flop, they don't, and they often over C-bet and then one and done too much. And so try not to one and done too much, try and look for more delays, delay in barrels, or C-bet in barrels, or things like that. That's very generic advice, but that's the best I can give you. In terms of flash, which is flash of course you say, then yeah, those would be what I would nudge you towards as options. Yeah, Mr. Jingle. So how about that? Yeah, in terms of flash games, I mean, it's going to be working on your pre-flop game, of course. Post-flop is still quite relevant in flash games. Like, it's not something to just discount and be like nothing else. Claudius says 4 tables on stream mostly. Oh, nice. I'm team on POKER, so I have to stream a lot. Oh, congratulations, by the way, Claudius. Okay, I'm happy to have all this extra information because now we can try and be a bit more specific with some advice. So, if you're 4 tabling on stream, Make sure you're shoving correctly. That's a big one. So, especially when shallow, if you run some, I hope you have HR Hold'em Resource Calculator or Isomizer, they're little shove fold calculators tools, and look at your population. So you obviously on Putty, you obviously don't get the numbers in terms of what people are. You don't get the numbers in terms of what individuals are shoving, but you can still look at the population. And if you look at the population in terms of their shove and their calls, I'm sure if you looked at that, you'll see that the 20 euro field would probably be under calling versus open jams. And if you were to node lock that and say, well, if we assume the population is under calling by 10% or so, what does that mean in terms of my adjustments when I'm shoving? Mr. D, Dr. Smile, thank you very much for the follow. And what you'll find is, as soon as you get below a certain threshold, I guess we just jam this. You could limp this as well, but I think it's also fun to jam. It's probably a mix. If Nice to Meet was, let's say Nice to Meet was like going mad with his open jams or something, that would be something to think about, but yeah. King 8, I think I'll go for an ISO myself. 2.5x is pretty much the standard here. Yeah, pretty happy with that. So yeah, that would be something as well. Make sure your pre-flop shove fold range is all right. Make sure your VPIP's all fine. Make sure that you're still ISOing heads up, for example, like that hand, because it works great, as you can see. And these are all things to think about. And yeah, game selecting as well. That's another thing to think about. Like, if the games are kind of shitty, as I'm hopefully going to demonstrate in a bit, you don't have to play any lineup, right? We're calling off King 4. King 4 off is definitely a call. Slightly ahead. Let's see if we can hold. That's the nuts. That's the absolute 7 in a row. That's the old 7 in a row. All right. Mr. Jingle says, what is the highest spin buy-in on Stars? Can we play one time for the dream? There's a 1K event. They have 1Ks on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we can't play them today. But one day in the future, Mr. Jingles, one day in the future, we will be playing one of them, I promise. At some point. So yeah. PN1988, is that $100 spin? You were when you asked that question, it was 250s. We are back at the 100 now. We're just going to wait here a little bit until one of Nice to Meet and MZ decide to, let's say, take a break or yeah, because we just won't get a recreational. And yeah, battling's not so whatever. We'll check Mr. Lo-Fi. We're hoping he keeps betting. Lo-Fi's a very good player. I think he's Bulgarian, Belarusian, yeah. Passing Cavalis, yeah, bro. So king comes. He checks. I would expect him mainly to bet his king, so he may not bet all of it, but I think betting is definitely the way to go. Looking at, we have a lot of, let's say, missed spades, so. King it off isn't a call for 10 BB, in an 11 BB, and it's an ISO fold, yeah. No spin, you feeling okay, bud? I'm okay, Will, I'm okay. I just like, sometimes it's fun, after you play a lot of flash spins, it's like, very chill, you know, it's like, it's quite a nice, relaxed environment. Let's call Kington. Claire says, thanks a lot for the answers. I've been trying to find correct ranges or a French coach, but it seems rare for spins nitro. Yeah. They are rare. The Keto Kid is now following. Thank you very much, the Keto Kid. Hope if he's on a ketogenic diet, I hope it's going well. Or if it's just keto, because I don't know what else keto could stand for, but thank you very much, kid. Appreciate the follow. Should we check raise or just call? I'm going to call. Because I know an ace is turning. What did he check down last time? I didn't actually look. Oh, he had queens. Okay. Fair. We'll call the turn bet. If it comes. It didn't come last time, but he had a very reasonable hand to check last time. Bet's 5.5. This is one of our best hands. I mean, we check raise a lot on this board, and so we definitely don't want to fold here. River gets difficult. And it depends on how much we give him for bluffing. But we'll start with a call. No point donking here, so we're just going to check. River, we have a pure bluff catcher. The question is, do we want to take this bluff catcher or not? Do we block some bluffs? 10 does block some bluffs now. So, very common bluffs would be every 10x he has. Right? So, 10-9 suited, 10-8 suited, 10-7 suited, 10-6 suited. All of those, 10-9 off. That's another lot of combos. That's already about 40 combos we reduce those bluffs from. And And I think we just fold this and then we're okay about this. We have also ace-x, like we had ace-4. Do you remember the hand before? Big blind versus button. And so we have 2 pair there that we can snap off. We have queen-10 that we can snap off. And so, as I said on the turn, this is one of the, let's say, on the turn was like a good hand. By the river, I think it no longer falls into that good category because we fold a lot of our, I think, unimproved jack-x. And so king-10 actually moves from being a really, really good hand on the turn when facing a bet in terms of our range. It then filters out to being a really poor hand on the river because actually we'd rather call with king-8 there than king-10, I think, against typical tendencies. Now, you can definitely still bluff us, of course, and so we have to get that balance right. But I think that would be a spot where I'm pretty happy to not fold an ace-x. We're calling here, by the way. And, yeah. And 2 pair plus, and, yeah. It's hard to have 2 pair plus. I mean, no one's folding 2 pair plus, really, obviously. But it just depends on how much we think our actual range is. And I think in a pure bluff catcher, that spot, I mean, he has 100 plus combos of ace-x on his own, right? So, anyway, we'll just jam a7. And, yeah. Run to king queen. Some say it's chill and relax. I would say it's slow and boring. It's one of them. It's one of them. We'll just keep winning, though. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep winning. Claire says, I've been trying to find... I've already answered that, didn't I? Yeah, correct ranges. So correct ranges, I mean, you can get some correct ranges in terms of some of this... if you have a solver, for example, they will have all the ranges, and there's obviously something to learn from there. Let's defend 10-3 suit. Some of Team 601's solver suggestions would include Lucid, where they'll have all the preflop stuff between, I think, about 4 BB and 25 BB. I think we'll go 3.75 here. Go for 3 cores. We get called, pretty quick call. I think there's a lot of pocket 9s in this range, and I don't think that's going to fold to 7.5. I think it's going to call us. I think. And he's got a 6. So that's worked out alright. We'll jam the jack then. The Keto Kid says, it starts with ketogenic indeed. Have you tried it or just from your term? No, well, so I'm actually, because I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I can't, that's an unavailable dietary method for myself. But they're all big on the ketones. And I had a housemate, and she was always into trying to do the ketogenic diet. And she's always like, I'm trying to get ketones. And I have a little ketone detecting thing, right? And it's like, she's like, oh, I want ketones. I'm like, oh, I'm always told to avoid them, but I guess it's just different, different levels or whatever. Should we just min bet this? Min bet range? I think we would be betting quite wide. We have more 5x than he does, I think, in our range. Not 500 is what we're talking about. 250s. Let's just min raise 8s. Hopefully he jams 6s. Happy days if so. And I'll just half pot c-bet this, I think. How far do you think you can go with grinding Lucids? How do you mean in terms of how far? Do you mean Chippy V-wise, or... There's plenty of people who have made it to... That's an interesting lead, by the way, on this top pairing. Oh, God. I'm going to go for a little raise here, because I think a hand really benefits from it. Where we get called by 7, we can deny some equity. That's all great for us. This 3 of diamonds is a disaster of a river. And so we're just going to go check, and pray he's not got 5-6 or 2 diamonds, and pray's got a 7 here. Great. Worked out. On a let's say 2 of clubs or something, I think we could probably river bet as well. But on 3 of diamonds, it's just so every hand gets devalued so much. So we'll check. But I mean, a lot of people, let's say, it's important not to discount fundamental theoretical knowledge as an important piece of a successful grinder, but it's also important not to think that's all it takes. It takes a mixture of a blend, if you like, of a lot of different skills. If you've never worked with any software before, I think you'll get a big help. If you've never done any GTO work, for example, you get a big help with any solver. let's say, assuming you can implement it correctly. That's always, yeah. Chat rest the best, just put random spins. Yeah, maybe that's it. I'll just do random spins. That could be what we want to go for. Brackets. Random spins. That is the new tile that we're doing. Hello, the How. Hello, the How. How are you, the How? How are you? Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. Mr. 94 in the building. Thought there were actually studies that suggest to help with diabetes. You'll be yeah, not for which type. So you're absolutely right in terms of type 2. Yeah. It could definitely help with the insulin, I would imagine. But type 1, I just have no insulin, so steak-wise, but I guess it into antrophy. So it definitely can help. I think it can be a bit of a trap as well, solvers, especially at the lower stakes, where they will show you poker in a certain way that you think, well, this is just optimal, this is how I play. But actually the way that's being showed, that equilibrium, or at least the closest representation of a poker equilibrium, doesn't actually represent the in-game EV, which is actually what you want to focus on. So from what I mean by that, if guys aren't bluffing rivers, not saying Rono Legley is this type, but let's say he was a guy that never bluffed rivers, what do we do with our bluff catches? We just fold them. We don't even try and have a balanced range. Like, we just have hands that we just fold, and it doesn't matter. And if you can do a better job at ranging people, then the equilibrium shifts immediately. And so these are things to think about for sure. It will help you immensely if used in the right way, and it will help you immensely if you've never used it before, but it also can hinder you a little bit. So yeah. Let's just go for a delay here. Super Mega Fish says, I have a question about the 5s and 10s. I'd certainly should be the 5s over 3.5k games, and now start the 10s, but got fucking smashed the first 400 games with 18 chip EV. Can this be variance? Definitely can be variance over that sample, absolutely. What I would say, almost certainly, is as soon as you play higher, you're going to be a bit more unlikely to absolutely A-game. We're going to go small here, because I think he's most likely got like a 5 or something. Vesti, Vesti 34, thank you very much for the follow, Vesti. Hoping you're doing well. He had a 4, not a 5, so got that wrong. Jack 2 off. Limp. What I'd say, Super Megafish, is yes, it can definitely be variance. What I would also say is almost certainly, in addition to variance, you're playing a bit more of a stressed game right now, right? It's the same for everybody. So the first time you move up in the stakes, it's quite stressful. You want things to go well. You go, oh, I hope it goes well, and then you're more fragile, if you like, in terms of the downswing effect on you and your kind of optimum mental state. You know, your A game, your bravery, your patience, all of these good emotional concepts that we have in game are all put under more stress as soon as you are playing high stake and you run bad. And so you might be like, well, everyone's bluffing me and I've got a call, or you might be like, well, I'm just running super bad and oh my god, I can't win a hand, and then suddenly you stop bluffing, or you start playing more passive, or you start playing more aggressive, or you shift away from your good poker work. So what I would encourage you to do is don't worry too much about it. You're 70 chip V, 5s over 3.5k games, you're almost certainly really, really profitable. Thank you very much to Error, by the way, thank you for the follow. You're almost certainly really, really profitable playing 10s, and you don't need to worry about that at all. What you want to focus on is just your performance external from the chip EV. So give yourself a mark out of 10. How was your mental game each day? How was your decision making each day? How much do you think you got frustrated or impatient, or called off too wide, or didn't bluff wide enough, or play too aggressive, or play too passive, or any of these sort of things. And if you're really struggling, play a few 5s and then compare that, right? And so it may be that when you play 5s, you're like, oh, this is actually, I'm a lot more calm, which is probably the case because you've got a decent sample, you know you're winning there. And that uncertainty creates that emotional difficulty. But yes, it definitely can be variance as well. VR says, hi Tom, GTO Wizard released 3 GTO complex ranges for spins and heads up. Have you had a chance to look at them? They are a bit different range to Lucid use. I was wondering which ones are better. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet, so I can't comment, I'm afraid. But thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will have a look for sure. Ranges are obviously important. They will have lots of impact in terms of flop turns and rivers. Although, let's say they're we're just chatting jam quick for. They're something to think about in terms of whilst they do have an impact, in game people play slightly different ranges anyway, and so there's not like the differences. I think will be subtle. 6BB, do we limp? You know what? Let's try. Do you have one of those patches on your abdomen? Ooh, what the hell is this, ladies and gentlemen? What is this? I mean, this is just aces, right? But we've got an ace. This is kings. Should I just... it's got kings. If I was off stream, I'd flat here. No, he hasn't got kings. Wow. Wow. I wasn't expecting too many bluffs at 5BB. Rono. Ronly. He's... What do we do with Jack 6 5BB? I think we just jam this. If you're not sure, jam is a good rule. If it's close, just jam. Because if people call even mildly out, then it's fine. Got a double gutter. Hit a queen or a jack or a 9. King or a 9. Don't even call for the right out. Still get there. That's good.